I think the biggest thing I've learned with him and his journey is just like, you can't take your days for granted. Like, you
Wow.
literally never know what is going to happen the next day. So you cannot take any day, any person, any moment for granted ever.
Welcome back to the other side of autism, Life Without Words. Today, I'm interviewing a special guest, a dear friend of mine. She's absolutely amazing. She's an entrepreneur. She has 2 kiddos of her own. Both of them are actually on the spectrum, on opposite sides of the spectrum. So, Nemesia, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about your family dynamic and the journey of autism and how that began for you.
How it began, that's a whole thing. But my name's Nemesia. My children, I have 4 kids total. Andre is 23. Emily's 15, which is crazy. I also have 2 other kids that are not on the spectrum. That's 21 and 25.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been quite the journey. It's, having 4 kids and then having every other kid basically have autism. So it's been a lot. But
Yeah.
the journey, it started a long, long time ago. I don't know how far back we want to go, but my son Andre was diagnosed. I was 18 when I had him, so I was pretty young. And he was diagnosed around the age of 3 is when we really noticed. And back then, I mean, you think about it, 20 years ago, autism wasn't what autism is today.
Yeah.
So it was really my mom that pointed something out with him where it was like, okay, he's not really doing certain things. And so that's what kind of started that ball rolling where I'm like, well, that's just my kid. Like, so that's when I noticed with him. With Emily, it started when she was, I think, around the age of 5 is when like she was diagnosed, but I noticed like really early on from then. But yeah, that's so we've been doing this for a while. It's been a while.
So interesting. Yeah. So it sounds like Andre was diagnosed actually later in life than it wasn't immediately. Brennan was the same way. Actually, he was diagnosed. Well, he was like 1.5, almost 2, but the official diagnosis came at like 2.5 for him as well.
Mhm.
Which nowadays I've noticed they're, diagnosing them even sooner than,
Yeah.
like a year old. So it's crazy.
Mhm.
So going into that then, what were like the first signs that your mom seen the moment that your mom was realizing something was different with Andre or Emily? Like,
Yeah, with Andre, it really was like that he was very isolated. So I had already had a daughter who was a toddler, and Andre had no interest in playing with her, doing like sharing toys, any of that. He was totally content just being completely by himself in the corner with his favorite toy. The eye contact, he did not make eye contact like other children his age. Some other things that I noticed were he started becoming like a picky eater.
mm,
He started regressing. So he would eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. He loved milk, like up until that point. And then all
mhm,
of a sudden it stopped. And he stopped wanting those things. And I'm thinking that he's just growing. His, taste buds are changing, all those things.
yeah.
And he just started regressing. So my mom was noticing those things. And, you don't think that anything is wrong with your kid. You're just like, that's just who they are. So I didn't really think anything. And plus, I was 18. I'm like, he's fine. Like, leave him alone. But then I also noticed like his tolerance for pain was very
Mm.
high. So he would like jump from like the couch and he would land on his knees on hardwood floors. Yeah.
Oh
And
my gosh.
right, and I'm like, "Ah," and he's just would get up and walk away, and little
Mm.
things like that where I'm like, "Okay, there's something different about him." So, things like that were definitely I noticed early on with him, and of course, again, my mom pointed it out, but I didn't think anything too serious until she pointed it out and, time went on. And then we started going to the doctors and stuff. With Emily, I felt like it was completely different because there is such an age gap there. So I already knew a lot about autism by then, and with Emily being my last child, I kind of already knew the signs, and from her from the get-go, like, with her being my last child, she was my only one that was a cesarean. I had to have an emergency C-section. I went into labor early. She was breech and, so I had to have that emergency C-section. So right off the bat, I was like, "This is different." And then
Mhm.
she was born fine, um, and just little things that were different about her that weren't present with the other 3 kids, that like her hip, when they do the hip check for the babies, like, there was a little, they had to keep checking her hips because the clicking was there, that clicking noise.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, just little things like that, like, she didn't walk until she was 16 months. Andre hit all of his milestones as far as, like, walking. um, he started talking, but then regressed at that same age, all the other
Mhm.
regressions with food and everything. So he Andre hit milestones until a certain point and then stopped. Emily never really was like delayed in all of those milestones. So it was completely different at their early stages.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, it was interesting because yeah, again, Emily didn't walk until 16 months when all my kids were walking by 12. Even crawling. So the good thing about with Emily is that because of Andre and he had already been in early intervention and all that, and there was already signs there, and we had the same pediatrician doctor, they already started like early intervention services with her before she was actually medically diagnosed. So,
Oh,
'cause they already
that's
seen the sign.
nice.
Yeah, it was nice because
Yeah.
I think that she wouldn't be as far as she is today if we wouldn't have jumped on it like we did at those early stages. So,
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And that's interesting. So I kind of experienced some of the similar things, with Brennan too, where he was on point, he was progressing, he was making his milestones, and then all of a sudden, literally just regressed. Um,
mhm,
but the one thing with Brennan is he never crawled. He
mm,
went straight from sitting to walking
that
on
is
his first
interesting.
birthday. Yeah. It was so crazy because I'm like, "Are you ever gonna crawl?" And he just didn't. He was just
Just
he
got
like
up, he's like,
he had yeah, he just got up and just was like, "I'm taking off." And I'm like, "What is happening here?" Literally the day of his birthday on at his birthday party, we were getting ready for it, and he just stood up and just took off. And Greg was like, Leanne, look at this." I'm like, "Look at what?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, he's walking." And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "This is crazy." So what is it like to actually navigate those early stages of diagnosis, like emotionally and mentally? Like, what was that? I mean, like, I know for me, it was kind of very challenging when I first got the diagnosis. Like, I was just like trying to prove everybody wrong, but like, how did you deal with it?
I mean, with Andre, it was very confusing. So
Mhm.
confusing. I didn't even know where to go. I had never even heard of autism when Andre was diagnosed. I'd never
Right.
experienced any other family with special needs. I had no idea. So I didn't even know where to start. So I just had to start with his doctor, and then he referred us to the early intervention services, and so it was just like one thing at a time. And then, of
Mhm.
course, 10 plus years later after I had Emily, I already knew. I'm like, "Okay, this
Right.
gotta go here." I had it down, like, to a T. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, the early days, it was hard. It was hard, it was confusing. It's like, where to go? Who do you listen to? Like, who's right, who's wrong? You got family telling you to do this, you got friends telling you he's fine. It was very confusing, very
Yeah.
confusing.
I'm just glad that you had a doctor that noticed things and was there
Mhm.
to help you. Because I know with my doctor was like, "Oh, he's a boy. It happens. It's fine." Played off that whole, he's a boy. They take longer to they don't digress, like they digress and then they learn and then they digress. And I'm like, "Are you sure about this? Like, I know I'm a new mom, but this just doesn't seem right." Especially I think because I used to babysit kids all the time when I was younger. So, and I would
Mhm.
babysit little ones. So to see their progress throughout 30 years in their lives and stuff like that, I'm just like, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that's just you guys being lazy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, with both your kiddos, because I know you have one. So Emily is considered verbal then,
Yep.
correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And then Andre is considered nonverbal.
Correct.
Okay. So how does that dynamic work in your house? Like how are you able to support both of those needs? Cuz I mean, that's a lot just for one.
Yeah, and the whole communication part is so hard, and as they're getting older, we've actually had more challenges come up recently, and I don't know if it has to do with seizures and sensory stuff that has just been more heightened. But what's interesting is in the last probably year and a half, Andre no longer enjoys the sound of familiar voices. So
Oh.
he does not like if he was sitting, so right now he's at my mom's who does respite for me a couple days a week. If he was
Okay.
home right now, he would be in the other room with noise canceling headphones on because he doesn't like the sound of me, not just me, but other family members, other
Mhm.
familiar people having small talk amongst each other. So
Oh.
it's very challenging. And when I tell people that at first, it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of like I make light of it sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
so challenging because I it affects our life. Like I can't take him to certain places where I know I'm gonna run into somebody because he's instantly like this and gripping his headphones and because he
Oh,
doesn't want to hear.
wow.
But if I talk to him, it's fine. If he hears my phone ring and I go for my phone to answer to say hello, he's instantly grabs like something to block out the noise. Whether that's the noise canceling headphones or he has, his regular headphones for his phone, and he'll
Mhm.
turn up a video so loud that it's blocking out all the other noise. We're working on it. We went through his speech
Wow.
therapist. We can't figure out I feel like that there is something like that can explain this. His neurologist even said there's really not much that we can do besides, like, kind of retrain his
Mhm.
it's kind of like it's a habit now.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
could see that. Yeah.
so there's little things that I have to do, like, for instance, like, when Mitch comes home and we can't all sit down and have dinner and ask how our days are going because Andre doesn't like that sound. So,
Oh,
it's hard, it is hard, and
that
those are
is.
things that, like, not every autistic family have to deal with, it's very
Right.
not maybe not specific to our family, but maybe other families do deal with this, but it's not common. But
Mhm.
like, the kids will sit at the table so they can eat their dinner, or I will feed them dinner like, right before Mitch comes home so that he can leave the area and then we can talk over dinner together. So
Yeah.
it's challenging. And then with
Wow.
Emily's very verbal, but yet she has limited speech. So she has a hard time like forming complete sentences.
Okay.
If you don't know her, it's really hard to understand her. She does a lot of
Yeah.
scripting too. A
Mhm.
lot of scripting throughout the day, a lot of scripting like during emotional times. If she's having like a meltdown, then she might script a scene of a movie that went through a similar situation. And that
Mm.
became an issue, like, at school and stuff because there was teachers or assistants that thought she was just talking to herself because they didn't understand fully, like,
Wow.
that school is a struggle, but they didn't understand what scripting is, that she's using scripting to deal with her emotions as, like, an outlet to release, that emotional thing. They thought she's just in the corner talking to herself.
Oh,
Having a
interesting.
meltdown. Yeah, and so that's why it's important, if you're working with kids
Yeah.
with autism, like, that you look into and you educate yourself. That's a whole whole 'nother subject, but
Oh, yeah. We will have a podcast about that too.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna be interviewing a mom and her struggles with the school life settings right at this point moment with her younger kiddo and how she feels about it. So, yeah, we are
oh,
definitely.
good, yeah, because that's a big issue. It's a big
Yeah. Who knows?
issue.
Maybe all 3 of us should just get on and have an interview with that and talk about that because I feel like, everybody's life is
Mhm,
definitely different. So,
mhm.
yeah. So
Well,
you
especially too when probably
yeah.
off topic, but when you have a child that's nonverbal in the schools and
Oh,
things
yeah.
happen. So that's
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I wanna make aware of too, because yeah,
Mhm.
Brennan's I've been down that road with Brennan
Right.
too. So, you had
Mhm.
mentioned that Andre has seizures. Is that something that he's had from the get-go, or is that something he developed later in life?
He developed seizures at the age of 15, and
Oh,
yeah, so
okay.
scary.
That is
Still to this day, we have no answers or idea of what is causing them. We have, and I say we as in his pediatric doctor, he's had the
Mhm.
same pediatric doctor since he was born that's still continuing to see him as an adult as of right now,
Oh, that's
thankfully.
incredible.
Same one
Yeah,
that seen
because
all
it's
my kids.
hard.
Yeah,
It's
and
hard finding a different
it
doctor.
is so hard, and we actually have went to other doctors because he's an adult, and I was like, "He needs an adult doctor," but then
Mhm.
we went back to his pediatric doctor. And then also his neurologist who is 2 hours north from here, but thankfully we do a lot of telehealth appointment calls and stuff, so we don't have to do that travel. But yeah, so the seizure started at 15. I honestly don't know if it was I hear that it's common, that there's a, common thing with autism and seizures that I'm learning, and I've learned along the way. I had no idea a few years ago that there was such a common thing.
Yeah, I
Um
would say I had no clue either until,
Mhm.
we met, and then I, kinda heard about Andre and stuff and the stuff you were going through with him, because I had no clue either.
Yeah, and I honestly, until my son had seizures, I had never experienced, like, in person, another person having a seizure. I had a dog growing up that had grand mal seizures, and so I knew what a grand mal seizure was, but to watch him have seizures, I'm telling you, like, I have literally have PTSD from it, and
Oh, I bet.
it's affected all of us, like, it's so hard, but he started them at 15. We've tried to do testing. He's had, like, a brain scan done, which only we were only able to complete it halfway because he wasn't able to hold still long enough in the
Mhm.
machine. He's had other testing done, and nothing has came back abnormal, so we don't know, and that goes back to those sensory things and the
Mhm.
sounds. That's the only thing that we can kind of the stress, that it's stress induced. So,
Oh,
it's
interesting.
so hard because I have to be so careful and be in a constant state of surroundings, like, what
Mhm.
noises are going on if my other daughter, Gabby, comes over and is like, "Hey," and I have to be like if Andre's home, I have to be like, "Lower excuse me, but I need you to lower your voice." Andre's getting upset. If we're out in public and I see somebody, sometimes I have to avoid people because I know Andre's with me and he's not gonna wanna hear that, and if I know he hasn't slept very good last night, on top
Mhm.
of hearing the conversation, seizures are rough, and they're really, really, really hard to watch, especially somebody that you love, especially your own child, to watch them and not be able to really do anything to stop it and not know when they're gonna happen, you know?
Right, that's the scary part too, right there. It's
Yeah.
like, you never know. You could be driving along, and all of a sudden, he starts having one.
Yeah, thankfully, he's never had one in the car. They've
Yeah.
been at home or and I've thankfully, I work from home now, so I have been with him the majority
Mhm.
of them, and we have cameras in his room, and I have, like, a Ring camera that I walk around with that I can put, like, that's not plug-in one, and so if I have to run upstairs or have to use the restroom, I'll put that Ring camera in the living room, and then I have the app on my phone, and I'll sit there and, put the phone on the counter or in the bathroom so I can keep
Yeah.
an eye on him downstairs, so it's like I have to keep a constant eye on him, ears on him at all
Wow.
times. Yeah,
Wow. Just there to give you a hug. That's a lot. That is
it
a
is a lot.
Yeah, so let's talk about, like, your typical day, because it sounds like because, you have those seizures and things like that, you have to be on guard and stuff like that. Like, walk us through, like, a typical day of your life on, like, what routines or strategies that kinda help your family get through the day kinda thing that may help somebody else.
So, as far as routine, I would say we like routine, we like predictability, but at the same time, we're pretty laid back. Like, I'm not the mom that has all the charts and all the things. I wish I was, but it's very overwhelming too, and especially when you have 2 kids that have different needs. I
Right.
will say that Emily is currently in ABA therapy and does it weekly, and her therapist is gonna start coming over once a month to do just kind of a parent training, which I think is awesome because before they would just do like you drop off your kid at therapy and they deal with the kid. Well, now they're trying to, do more parent involved stuff, which I think is great.
Yeah,
So,
I've heard that changed big time.
which yeah, it should be because it has to be a whole thing.
Yeah.
You can't just send your kid to therapy and then send them home
Right?
and the parent not know, or not
Yeah,
follow through. Um,
exactly.
so I am going to have her start coming over and start building more visual charts that I think are going to help the kids with routine and structure and stuff and help the mom with routine and structure.
Yeah.
Um, because sometimes it's just hard. It's like I'd love to have routine and structure every single day of my life, but there's days that I think as parents, we just want to be like, let's just all just sit back and chill and play on our iPads and scroll our phones because we all just need a break, and um, but the kids, my kids are pretty laid back, and I'm very thankful for that. Like I can tell like Emily and Andre, hey, it's time to go get in the shower or it's time to go take a bath. Okay. Or Andre will go and he'll physically put himself in the shower and then I go in and assist afterwards.
Mhm.
Or laundry. Emily knows when her basket's full that it's time to do her laundry. So I don't have to put it on a schedule because she'll bring it to the laundry room and then she'll do her laundry. And with Andre, I have to tell him like every other day it's laundry time and he'll go get his basket and he'll do his laundry with my help. So we don't use like, a visual schedule or anything yet. It's just, I think I just know like when to do what.
Yeah.
Um, and then Andre goes to my mom's house, who now lives here in town. She used to live out of town, and she'd come and get Andre, pick him up for 3 nights, and then bring him back home. Now she lives in town and does the same thing. So
Mhm.
there's 3 nights a week that he's with my mom, just so I can kind of have a little bit of a not even a break, because I mean, Emily's still home. I should say let
Right.
my guard down a little bit.
Yeah, because 'cause I'm sure it's a lot higher when he's home.
It's so much higher because Emily's completely like not completely. She's pretty self-sufficient. She'll
Mhm.
get up and get snacks and get something to drink and, be on her phone or whatever. She loves to draw. Will be in her room drawing. Like right now I can, just set her up and make sure she's fed and got something to drink and be like, "Mom's gonna be in the office for a little bit. If you need me, here's where I am." Okay. With Andre though, I have to be on guard at all times with him. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, which probably makes it definitely challenging trying to get some work done and stuff like that,
But
so
I will say too, Emily loves a calendar. She does love a calendar, so I have a calendar in my office that if we have any kind of upcoming events, appointments, or anything, we have to write them down, even if a new movie's coming out. Like,
no.
some new movie's coming out next month, and she keeps reminding me it's almost August. In August, such and such movie, so we have to write it on the calendar, and each
I
night she crosses
know.
off the day each night and counts down the day. So she's very, like,
Oh,
into needing to know
yeah.
what's
She needs
happening.
to know.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. That's incredible, though, and that's awesome. That's very exciting for her. So I want to ask you this because I know you've been a lot, and I know like it can be very overwhelming for parents with special needs and stuff like that as well. So I'm curious to know like what have been like the best moments being a mom to these kiddos? What have you really enjoyed about this whole process with them?
I think just watching them constantly, like, grow and I shouldn't say prove everybody wrong, but
Mhm.
they really are. People constantly think, like, when they think of kids with autism, they think, like, meltdowns and
Yes.
being violent or, just having such a hard life. Like, when I say that I have kids with autism, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Not so
Mm,
much
I get that a
anymore,
lot.
but I have gotten that a lot in the past where I'm like, "Sorry for what?" Like,
Mhm.
and I always will say, I consider myself completely blessed because my kids are so relaxed. My kids have never been considered behavioral. I
Mhm.
had a harder time raising my other teen daughters than I did with my autistic kids. But they're
Yeah.
they're just constantly teaching me new things about life, and they've taught me how to be even Emily teaches me to be more, like, in tune with myself, if that makes sense. Like, I have to
Yeah.
really, like, check myself sometimes too, and she takes things very literally, everything. Like, you can't say any kind of jokes. We learned, like, you can't say things when you tell her good night. Her sister was like, "Don't let the bed bugs bite," and she turned around, she's like, "What? What
Oh,
did you
no.
just say?" And I'm like, "You cannot do that to her." So,
Yeah.
you have to be very direct, and so, she teaches me all the time, especially Emily just teaches me all the time just to be very, like, open, honest communication and, like, direct and calm. Like, I always
Mhm.
have because she feeds off my emotion. So I have
Oh,
to
yeah.
constantly be calm. She'll look me up and down and be like, "Why did you say it like that?" And I'm like, I didn't mean it in any way, like, but you said, and I'm like, so I have to be calm and say and think about what I'm gonna say before I say it. And
Mm.
yeah, with
Yeah.
Andre, I think the biggest thing I've learned with him and his journey is just like you can't take your days for granted. Like you
Ah,
literally never know what is gonna happen the next day. So you cannot take any day, any person, any moment for granted ever.
I love that, and you're so right about that. So, as a mom being a caretaker, what are you doing for yourself to take care of yourself, though? Because that's a big one too. I feel like a lot of moms don't take that moment to pour into their own cup so they can pour into their kiddos' cups and things like that. So, what advice do you have about that?
Well, I would say that self-care is so important, and the older that we get, the harder it is,
Yeah.
and it is extremely hard to turn off that mom role, and especially if you're at home full time too. We
Mhm.
don't get that escape, we don't get to go to work, it's a constant thing, and I've always been a huge self-care, you gotta do self-care, and that can look so different for everybody. Like some people want to go to the salon and get their hair and nails done. That can be self-care. Self-care can be, if maybe you can't leave your house, you can go step outside and read a book and just get some sunshine, walk around the neighborhood, work out. Like I used to be really good about working out, but I have not been working out. I need to get back in it because I know that makes me feel better, and if I
Mhm.
feel better, then I'm a better person for them. So, that's something that I'm working on. But yeah, just whatever makes you feel good, like, you have to do it because you have to step away and make yourself a priority. You have to. You have to do it.
Yeah, no, that's some good advice. I love that. I love that so much. So we're going to be wrapping up now, and I just have really one quick question for you too. Is if you could go back and whisper one piece of advice to yourself when you first started this whole entire journey, what would it be?
If I could go back and tell myself anything, it would be to always listen to that gut mom instinct that you are going to get all kinds of advice along the way. And at the end of the day, you just have to listen to your own gut. And you also have to educate yourself and get all the information out there that you can. I think that it's so easy to just get all this information from doctors and specialists and teachers and friends and family, but at the end of the day, you're the parent or the caregiver, and you have to do what you feel is right for your child. And don't compare yourself to other families. You're your own family. Your child is different than the other child that's on the spectrum, and just do what's right for your own family.
I love that advice. That is such good advice. I so appreciate you telling us that. And I just want to give you a big thank you. I so appreciate you coming on today and just, sharing your story and being raw and real with everybody else and letting them know what it looks like for other families, just so they know that they're not alone in this crazy journey. and it's
Mhm.
a beautiful journey at the same time. It
Right.
can be a lot of ups and downs and stuff like that. So, well, I just want to thank you guys for coming on and joining us today. If you like what we had to say, if you loved what we were here, you heard and things like that, please hit the subscribe button, follow us, comment. What was your favorite part about this podcast? What did you learn from it as well? So, thank you again for joining us on the other side of Autism Life Without Words.